step into a world where shadows whisper and ancient stories refuse to fade. In Unmasking the Witch, Myth, Truth, and Transformation, we journey beyond superstition to uncover the real power hidden beneath centuries of legend. From misunderstood healers to symbols of rebellion and resilience, the figure of the witch has worn many masks. Tonight, we peel them back, one by one. Prepare to challenge what you think you know and discover how myth, truth, and transformation intertwine in the ever-evolving story of the witch. Open your mind, follow the trail of forgotten wisdom, and let the unveiling begin. Unmasking the Witch, Myth, Truth, and Transformation. For centuries, the figure of the witch has existed at the crossroads of fear, fascination, mystery, and empowerment. From the whispered stories of medieval villages to the modern resurgence of spiritual practices, the witch has been a symbol constantly reshaped by cultural anxieties, religious dogma, folklore, and the evolving human imagination. To unmask the witch is not simply to expose a hidden identity. It is to peel back layers of myth, history, prejudice, empowerment, persecution, and self-reinvention. This exploration seeks to illuminate the witch's journey from misunderstood outsider to reclaimed catalyst of spiritual transformation. Myth, shadows cast by fear and power. The early image of the witch in Western thought was shaped less by evidence and more by fear. In ancient cultures, magical practitioners were often respected healers, diviners, midwives, and spiritual guides. But as societies shifted, particularly with the tightening influence of religious institutions, older forms of magic became labeled as threats. Fear is a powerful storyteller, and the myths it creates often serve the interests of those in power. During the late medieval and early modern periods, the witch became a scapegoat for a multitude of anxieties. Misfortune, sickness, death of livestock, bad harvests, anything unexplained could be attributed to an unseen agent of malice. The witch in myth became a monster hiding in the shadows, embodying everything society feared: the unknown, the uncontrollable, and the defiance of rigid moral codes. Stories portrayed witches as creatures who served dark forces, feasted on human suffering, and met in forbidden gatherings to plot against the world. These myths, though largely fabricated, were impactful. They created a cultural mask, one that hid the true identities of those accused and replaced them with fearsome fantasies. But myth is never neutral. It becomes a tool. The witch hunts. When myth becomes weapon. The witch hunts across Europe and colonial America were not spontaneous outbreaks of superstition. They were systematic campaigns influenced by political instability, economic tension, religious paranoia, and deep-rooted misogyny. Manuals like the Malleus Maleficarum fueled the hysteria by presenting detailed evidence of witchcraft and justifying the use of torture. Most of the accused were women, particularly those who lived on the margins. Widows, healers, the poor, or simply women who did not conform to societal expectations. The mythic mask of the witch offered a convenient excuse to control or eliminate individuals who didn't fit neatly into patriarchal structures. Accusations often had more to do with personal vendettas, land disputes, or social tensions than actual belief in malefic magic. Yet thousands were executed. In revealing this truth, one sees how myth, fear, and power intertwined to create a deadly narrative. Unmasking this historical manipulation is essential for understanding the deeper wounds carried into modern culture. Truth, the witch as healer, guide, and custodian of hidden knowledge. Beyond the shadows of myth lies a very different truth. Across countless cultures, practitioners of magic, whether called witches, shamans, cunning folk, or wise women, served important roles within their communities. They were herbalists who understood the medicinal properties of plants. They were midwives who safeguarded the mysteries of birth. They were storytellers, spiritual mediators, and keepers of ancestral traditions. Many so-called witches preserved knowledge that existed long before organized religions took form. Their practices often reflected a deep connection with the natural world. Cycles of the moon, the turning of seasons, the power of roots and stones, and the subtle energies that flow through life. These truths remind us that the witch was historically far more connected to healing than to harm. To unmask the witch, then, is to rediscover what was suppressed, the wisdom of living in harmony with nature, the spiritual authority of the individual, and the understanding that magic is often simply the ability to see meaning and possibility in what others overlook. The witch as symbol of rebellion and transformation. As time moved forward, the witch's mask began to slip. By the 20th century, as new interest in folk magic, paganism, and esoteric traditions blossomed, the witch began to transform from a figure of fear into one of empowerment. Movements like Wicca reintroduced witchcraft not as malevolent sorcery, but as a nature-based spiritual path grounded in ethics, balance, and personal transformation. The modern witch is no longer defined by mythic terror, but by self-discovery, autonomy, and connection. Today's witchcraft communities emphasize healing, ritual practice, ancestral reverence, and reclaiming lost traditions. The witch has become a symbol for those seeking spiritual paths outside institutional religion, those marginalized by society, and those embracing the divine within themselves. This transformation signals something profound: that the witch is not a monster, but a mirror. The qualities projected onto witches across history often reflected fears about independence, feminine power, sexuality, knowledge, and rebellion against imposed norms. In reclaiming the witch, people reclaim these aspects of themselves. The witch and the feminine, a soul unbound. One of the most enduring themes in the witch's story is its relationship to the feminine. Even in cultures where magic was practiced by all genders, the Western image of the witch became deeply tied to feminine identity. This connection was shaped by patriarchal institutions that feared women's autonomy, knowledge, and bodily power. The witch became a symbol of the uncontrolled woman, the one who spoke too loudly, healed without permission, loved outside the rules, or refused submission. Her body, her sexuality, her intuition, and her wisdom all became sources of suspicion. In turn, the mythic which served as a cautionary tale: conform or be condemned. Today, many embrace the witch as a figure of empowered femininity, whether literal or metaphorical. She represents the right to define oneself, to speak truth, to honor ancient knowledge, and to reject the idea that power must always be controlled by institutions or authorities. In this sense, the witch is not just a character in stories, but a living archetype of liberation. Magic in the modern world, between symbol and practice. Modern witchcraft varies widely. For some, it is a deeply spiritual path rooted in ritual, meditation, spellcraft, divination, and energy work. For others, it is symbolic, the witch as an identity representing empowerment, creativity, or countercultural values. Some blend traditional folk magic with contemporary mindfulness practices. Others follow reconstructed pagan traditions tied to specific cultures. Yet despite this diversity, a core theme unites most modern witches: transformation. Magic is seen not merely as a means of altering external reality, but as a method of shaping the self. Rituals become tools for intention, clarity, and psychological renewal. Spells become symbolic acts that align emotion, thought, and action. Divination becomes a language of introspection. In Unmasking Modern Magic, one finds not supernatural theatrics, but a structured way of interacting with one's inner world and the natural environment. Magic is a dialogue between the practitioner and the universe, the past and the present, the seen and the unseen, stereotypes and the media mask. Even as witchcraft evolves, popular media continues to shape perceptions. Films, novels, and television often portray witches as glamorous enchantresses or malevolent sorceresses. These depictions, while entertaining, can obscure the real diversity and seriousness of modern practice. However, media also plays a role in humanizing the witch. Stories that portray witches as misunderstood, powerful, or spiritually attuned help facilitate the cultural shift from fear to fascination. The challenge remains to distinguish fantasy from authentic practice, recognizing that the witch's true identity cannot be fully captured through a single genre or trope. Unmasking the witch in media requires discernment, understanding that while fiction offers symbolic truths, real witchcraft is grounded in lived experience, community, and personal evolution. The witch as a bridge between worlds. One of the most enduring truths behind the witch archetype is its position as a liminal figure, someone who stands between worlds. Ancient healers walked between the realms of the living and ancestral spirits. Modern witches often navigate between nature and technology, ancient rites and contemporary life, spiritual intuition and rational inquiry. This liminality gives the witch unique power. She is a mediator of energies, a keeper of thresholds, and a guide through transformation. Whether working with herbs, crafting rituals, or exploring personal shadows, the witch engages in a timeless dance of balance and understanding. To unmask the witch is to recognize this duality, not as contradiction, but as harmony. The witch is both past and present, myth and truth, individual and universal. Transformation, reclaiming the witch within. Ultimately, the journey of unmasking the witch leads to transformation, not just for the idea of the witch, but for those who explore the path. The witch's story becomes a lens through which to examine identity, personal power, and the relationship between humans and the natural world. To reclaim the witch is to reclaim intuition over imposed belief, nature over domination, wisdom over ignorance, autonomy over control, spirituality over dogma, magic over monotony. This transformation does not require adopting ritual practices or spiritual labels. Instead, it invites each person to reflect on the parts of themselves society has taught them to hide. The witch's unmasking becomes symbolic of unmasking the self, acknowledging the suppressed, the misunderstood, and the powerful internal forces waiting to be embraced. A new era for the witch. Today, the witch stands not as a feared figure on the margins, but as a powerful archetype shaping modern spirituality, feminism, environmental movements, and personal development. She is no longer defined by accusations or myths created to control her. Instead, she defines herself. Communities of witches share knowledge freely, preserving ancient traditions while adapting them to contemporary life. They explore ethical practices, environmental stewardship, and psychological healing. The witch has become a symbol of resilience, proof that even centuries of persecution cannot suppress the human desire for spiritual connection and personal sovereignty. In this new era, the witch is a teacher. Her story reveals how fear can distort truth, how myths can be weaponized, and how identity can be reclaimed through courage and understanding. The power of seeing clearly. To unmask the witch is to confront centuries of misconception and rediscover the living truths beneath. It requires seeing the witch not through the eyes of fear or fantasy, but through the lens of history, humanity, and transformation. The witch is both a relic of the past and a torchbearer for the future, an enduring symbol of empowerment, knowledge, and spiritual freedom. In unmasking her, we unmask ourselves. We learn to question inherited narratives, honor forgotten wisdom, and step into our own power. The witch's story continues not because of myth, but because of truth, the truth that transformation is always possible, and that within every shadow lies the potential for awakening. Thank you for joining us on this deep journey through myth, truth, and the ever-shifting identity of the witch. As we unmask the stories shaped by fear, power, and transformation, we uncover not just history, but the resilience and magic that endure today. If this exploration opened your eyes or sparked new curiosity, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice helps keep this wisdom alive. Until our next descent into hidden mysteries, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, the truth behind the mask is always worth seeking.